Sarah Martinez had always been different from other girls in her small Texas town. While her classmates spent afternoons at the mall, she was at the shooting range with her father, a retired Marine who taught her that precision was everything. Her steady hands and sharp eyes made her a natural marksman, but nobody expected that this quiet girl would one day become one of the most respected snipers in military history. Growing up on a ranch outside El Paso, Sarah learned to shoot when she was 8 years old. Her father, Miguel Martinez, had served 3 tours in Vietnam and came home with stories he rarely shared. What he did share was his knowledge of firearms and the discipline that military life had taught him. Sarah absorbed every lesson like a sponge, practicing for hours until she could hit a target at 300 yards without breaking a sweat. Her mother, Rosa, worried about her daughter's unusual hobby. She wanted Sarah to focus on school, maybe go to college and become a teacher or nurse. But Sarah had different plans. She watched the news coverage of conflicts overseas and felt a calling that she couldn't ignore. While other teenagers were planning prom, Sarah was planning her future in the military. The day she turned 18, Sarah walked into the Army recruitment office in downtown El Paso. The recruiter, Sergeant Johnson, looked surprised when this petite young woman with long dark hair told him she wanted to be an infantry soldier. He tried to steer her toward administrative roles or military police, but Sarah was firm in her decision. She wanted combat training. Basic training at Fort Benning was brutal. Sarah was one of only 3 women in her unit, and the instructors made it clear they didn't expect any of them to make it through. The physical training pushed her body to its limits, but Sarah had been preparing for this her whole life. While other recruits struggled with the rifle range, Sarah consistently scored expert marksman ratings. It was during advanced individual training that Sarah's true potential was discovered. Captain Williams, the range instructor, noticed that Sarah wasn't just hitting targets, she was placing every shot exactly where she intended. Her breathing control was perfect, her stance unwavering, and her mental focus absolute. After watching her perform for several weeks, he pulled her aside. "Martinez, have you ever considered sniper school?" he asked. Sarah's heart raced. Sniper school was incredibly difficult, with a failure rate over 70%. Only the best soldiers even got the chance to try. "Yes, sir. That's exactly what I want to do." Captain Williams nodded slowly. "It won't be easy. They'll test every part of you, physically, mentally, emotionally. But I think you have what it takes." The application process took months. Sarah had to undergo psychological evaluations, extensive background checks, and additional physical training. She spent her free time studying ballistics, wind patterns, and camouflage techniques. Finally, the acceptance letter arrived. The U.S. Army Sniper School at Fort Benning was unlike anything Sarah had experienced. The course lasted 10 weeks and covered everything from advanced marksmanship to fieldcraft and camouflage. Students learned to calculate distance, compensate for wind and weather, and most importantly, how to remain invisible while observing enemy positions. Sarah's first instructor was Master Sergeant Davis, a veteran sniper with multiple deployments. He was tough but fair, and he quickly recognized Sarah's natural abilities. However, he also knew that being a good shot was only part of being a successful sniper. The mental aspects were often more challenging than the physical ones. "Snipers aren't just shooters," Davis explained during one of their training sessions. "You're intelligence gatherers, battlefield observers, and sometimes the last line of defense for your unit. You might spend days in position without firing a single shot." Sarah learned to move through different terrains without being detected. She practiced ghillie suit construction, learning to blend into forests, deserts, and urban environments. The camouflage training was intense. Students had to remain hidden while instructors actively searched for them. Sarah developed an almost supernatural ability to disappear into her surroundings. The shooting portion of the course was where Sarah truly excelled. While other students struggled with long-range shots, Sarah consistently hit targets at distances exceeding 800 meters. Her shooting log showed remarkable consistency, with groupings that impressed even the veteran instructors. But the course tested more than just shooting skills. Students had to navigate difficult terrain while carrying heavy equipment, often going days with minimal food and sleep. They learned to estimate ranges without equipment, to read wind conditions, and to calculate bullet drop for different ammunition types. One exercise particularly challenged Sarah. Students were given a scenario where they had to observe an enemy position for 24 hours without being detected, then provide detailed intelligence about enemy movements and positions. Sarah found a position in thick brush overlooking the target area and settled in for the long watch. For the first few hours, everything seemed routine. Sarah documented the movements of role-playing enemies, noting their patrol patterns and identifying key positions. But as darkness fell and the temperature dropped, the real test began. Staying alert and focused while remaining completely motionless required tremendous mental discipline. Around 3 in the morning, Sarah noticed something the other students had missed. The enemy patrol had established a hidden observation post that wasn't part of the official exercise scenario. It was so well concealed that it would have been easy to overlook, but Sarah's trained eye caught the subtle signs. A slight movement in the vegetation and the occasional glint of optical equipment. When she reported this discovery to her instructors the next morning, they were impressed. The hidden post had been placed there specifically to test the students' observation skills, and Sarah was the only one who had spotted it. Master Sergeant Davis made a note in her file. This student had exceptional potential. The final weeks of sniper school included urban warfare training. Sarah learned to operate in city environments, using buildings for cover and concealment while engaging targets at various ranges. This training was particularly challenging because urban environments presented unique difficulties: civilian populations, multiple levels of buildings, and constantly changing sight lines. During one urban training exercise, Sarah was tasked with providing overwatch for a simulated rescue operation. She positioned herself in a building overlooking the target structure and had to identify potential threats while ensuring she didn't endanger friendly forces. The exercise required split-second decision-making and absolute precision. As the simulated rescue team moved into position, Sarah spotted several enemy positions that posed immediate threats. Using hand signals and radio communication, she guided her teammates away from danger while identifying priority targets. When the exercise commander gave the signal to engage, Sarah's shots were perfectly placed, neutralizing threats without endangering the rescue team. After 10 grueling weeks, graduation day arrived. Of the 42 students who started the course, only 15 remained. Sarah not only graduated but finished second in her class overall and first in marksmanship. Master Sergeant Davis presented her with her sniper badge, a moment that represented the culmination of years of preparation and training. But graduation from sniper school was just the beginning. Sarah was assigned to the 1st Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment at Hunter Army Airfield in Georgia. The Rangers were an elite light infantry unit that conducted special operations missions worldwide. Being assigned to the Rangers as a sniper was both an honor and a significant responsibility. Sarah's first team leader was Staff Sergeant Mitchell, a veteran Ranger with multiple combat deployments. He was initially skeptical about having a female sniper on his team, not because he doubted women's abilities, but because he knew the physical and mental demands of Ranger operations were extreme. "Martinez, I don't care if you're male, female, or from Mars," Mitchell told her during their first meeting. "What matters is whether you can do the job when lives are on the line. Everything else is just noise." Sarah's first months with the Rangers were spent in intensive training. She learned advanced tactics, helicopter insertion techniques, and how to work as part of a small unit operating behind enemy lines. The Rangers conducted exercises in various environments, from dense forests to desert terrain, preparing for any type of mission they might be assigned. During one training exercise in the mountains of North Carolina, Sarah's team was tasked with conducting reconnaissance on a simulated enemy compound. The mission required them to insert via helicopter, move several miles through difficult terrain, observe the target for 48 hours, and then extract without being detected. Sarah's role was to provide precision fire support if the team was discovered, and to gather intelligence on enemy positions and movements. She carried her rifle, a customized M24 sniper weapon system, along with observation equipment and survival gear. The total weight of her equipment exceeded 60 pounds, but Sarah had trained for these conditions. The insertion went smoothly, and the team began their movement toward the target area. Sarah took point on navigation, using her map-reading skills and natural terrain association abilities to guide the team through the mountainous landscape. Her training in fieldcraft proved invaluable as she identified the best routes that provided concealment while avoiding areas where the team might be easily detected. When they reached their observation position, Sarah established her hide site with meticulous care. She used natural vegetation and her ghillie suit to create a position that was virtually invisible, even from a few meters away. From this position, she could observe the target compound while providing security for her teammates. Over the next 2 days, Sarah documented extensive intelligence about the simulated enemy force. She noted their patrol schedules, identified key personnel, and mapped their defensive positions. Her detailed observations provided the mission commander with crucial information for planning future operations. On the second night, the exercise took an unexpected turn. The opposing force launched a search operation, apparently having detected signs of the team's presence. Sarah watched through her scope as enemy patrols began sweeping the area around their position. Staff Sergeant Mitchell made the decision to extract immediately, but the enemy was too close for a safe extraction. Sarah would need to provide cover fire to allow her team to move to an alternate extraction point. This was exactly the type of scenario they had trained for, but the pressure was intense. As the team began their movement, Sarah identified 3 enemy positions that could threaten them. The targets were at ranges between 400 and 600 meters, challenging shots even under ideal conditions. In the darkness and with her teammates' lives potentially at stake, the pressure was enormous. Sarah controlled her breathing and focused on her training. She engaged the first target, a simulated enemy sniper in an elevated position. The shot was perfect, eliminating the threat. She quickly shifted to the second target, adjusting for distance and wind conditions. Another successful engagement. The third target was the most challenging, an enemy machine gun position that could devastate her team if left active. The shot required precise placement to neutralize the threat without endangering nearby friendly forces. Sarah took her time, calculating every variable before squeezing the trigger. The shot struck exactly where she had aimed. With the immediate threats neutralized, Sarah's team successfully reached the alternate extraction point and completed the exercise. The after-action review praised Sarah's precision shooting and tactical awareness. Staff Sergeant Mitchell's initial skepticism had completely disappeared. "That was textbook sniper work," he told her afterward. "You kept your cool under pressure and made every shot count. That's what separates good snipers from great ones." Word of Sarah's performance during training exercises began to spread throughout the Ranger community. Her combination of exceptional marksmanship skills and tactical intelligence made her a valuable asset for any mission. But Sarah knew that training exercises, no matter how realistic, were different from actual combat operations. That reality would come sooner than she expected. Intelligence reports indicated increasing insurgent activity in Afghanistan, and Ranger units were being prepared for deployment. Sarah's battalion received orders for a 6-month deployment to conduct counterinsurgency operations in eastern Afghanistan. The news brought a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Sarah had trained for this moment her entire military career, but she also understood the serious nature of what lay ahead. Combat operations would test every skill she had learned and challenge her in ways that training exercises never could. As her unit prepared for deployment, Sarah spent extra time on the range, ensuring her equipment was perfectly zeroed and her skills remained sharp. She studied maps of their area of operations, learning the terrain features and understanding the tactical challenges they would face. The deployment briefings painted a picture of a complex operational environment. The enemy was experienced, well-equipped, and fighting on familiar terrain. American forces would need to be at their absolute best to accomplish their mission and return home safely. Sarah's parents came to visit her before deployment. Miguel Martinez looked at his daughter with a mixture of pride and concern. He had served in combat himself and understood what she was about to face. Rosa Martinez tried to hide her worry, but Sarah could see the fear in her mother's eyes. "Remember everything I taught you," her father told her during their last evening together. "Trust your training, trust your teammates, and trust yourself. But most importantly, come home safe." Sarah hugged her parents tightly, knowing it might be months before she saw them again. She promised to stay in touch as much as possible and to be careful. But she also made it clear that she was ready for this challenge and determined to do her duty. The flight to Afghanistan took over 20 hours, with stops for refueling and mission briefings. Sarah used the time to review her equipment and mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. She thought about her training, her teammates, and the mission they had been given. As the transport aircraft began its descent into Bagram Airfield, Sarah looked out the window at the rugged landscape below. The mountains stretched to the horizon, creating a terrain that had challenged armies for centuries. Somewhere in those mountains, enemy fighters waited for American forces to arrive. Sarah checked her rifle one final time and adjusted her gear. She was ready for whatever came next. The quiet girl from Texas had become a highly trained sniper, and now she would have the chance to prove herself in the ultimate test, combat operations against a determined enemy. The aircraft touched down with a slight bump, and Sarah felt her stomach tighten with anticipation. Her real journey was just beginning. The heat hit Sarah like a physical blow when she stepped off the aircraft at Bagram Airfield. Even at dawn, the temperature was already climbing toward what would be a scorching day. The dry air carried dust that seemed to penetrate everything, and the smell of diesel fuel and burning waste filled her nostrils. This was Afghanistan, and it was unlike anything she had experienced before. Forward Operating Base Chapman, where Sarah's unit was stationed, sat in a valley surrounded by jagged mountains. The base was a small collection of prefabricated buildings, guard towers, and defensive positions carved out of the hostile landscape. Everything was covered in a layer of fine dust that seemed to accumulate faster than it could be cleaned. Sarah's first few weeks were spent learning the operational procedures and getting familiar with the area. The enemy situation was complex, with various insurgent groups operating in the region. Intelligence reports indicated that foreign fighters had established training camps in the remote mountain areas, and local insurgents were conducting regular attacks on coalition forces. Staff Sergeant Mitchell briefed Sarah on their primary mission, conducting reconnaissance and direct action operations against high-value targets in the region. As the team's sniper, Sarah would provide precision fire support and intelligence-gathering capabilities that were crucial for mission success. The team's first major operation came 3 weeks after their arrival. Intelligence had identified a compound where insurgent leaders were reportedly meeting to plan attacks against coalition forces. Sarah's team was tasked with conducting surveillance and eliminating high-value targets if the opportunity presented itself. The compound was located in a remote valley approximately 30 miles from their base. The terrain was mountainous and heavily forested, providing excellent concealment for both friendly and enemy forces. Sarah studied the satellite imagery and topographical maps, identifying potential sniper positions that would give her clear fields of fire while maintaining concealment. The mission began with a helicopter insertion during the early morning hours. Sarah's team consisted of 6 rangers, each with specialized skills and equipment. Besides Sarah, there was Staff Sergeant Mitchell as team leader, 2 riflemen, a communications specialist, and a medic. They carried enough supplies for 3 days of independent operations. The helicopter dropped them at a landing zone several miles from the target compound. From there, they would have to move on foot through difficult terrain while avoiding enemy patrols and civilian populations. Sarah carried her rifle, ammunition, and observation equipment, along with her share of the team's water and supplies. The movement to the target area took most of the first day. Sarah took turns with the other team members leading the patrol, using her map-reading skills and terrain association abilities to navigate through the mountainous landscape. Her training in fieldcraft proved invaluable as she identified routes that provided concealment while avoiding areas where they might be easily detected. By late afternoon, they had reached their observation position overlooking the target compound. Sarah established her sniper hide approximately 600 meters from the compound, using natural vegetation and her ghillie suit to create a position that was virtually invisible. From this position, she had clear observation of the compound's main buildings and courtyard. The compound consisted of several buildings arranged around a central courtyard, with high walls providing security and privacy. Sarah could see that the buildings were occupied, with people moving regularly between structures. Through her scope, she began cataloging the individuals she observed, noting their clothing, weapons, and behavior patterns. During the first night of observation, Sarah documented the compound's security procedures and patrol schedules. She noted that guards were posted at regular intervals and that vehicles arrived and departed at specific times. Her detailed observations provided the team with crucial intelligence about enemy capabilities and intentions. On the second day, the situation changed dramatically. A convoy of vehicles arrived at the compound, carrying what appeared to be high-ranking insurgent leaders. Sarah watched through her scope as these individuals were escorted into the main building with considerable ceremony and security. Staff Sergeant Mitchell received confirmation from headquarters that several of the individuals Sarah had identified were indeed high-value targets. The mission parameters changed from surveillance to direct action. Sarah would need to prepare for precision engagement while the rest of the team provided security and support. The engagement window came during the late afternoon. Sarah watched as the target individuals gathered in the compound's courtyard for what appeared to be a planning meeting. Through her scope, she could see maps and documents being displayed on a table in the center of the courtyard. The range was 627 meters, with a slight crosswind from the east. Sarah calculated the ballistic factors, accounting for altitude, temperature, and humidity. Her target selection was based on intelligence priorities provided by mission headquarters. The primary target was a foreign fighter leader who had been responsible for numerous attacks against coalition forces. Sarah controlled her breathing and settled into her shooting position. She had trained for this moment countless times, but the reality of engaging human targets in combat was different from any training exercise. The weight of responsibility was enormous. Her shot could potentially save the lives of coalition soldiers who would otherwise face attacks planned by these individuals. When Staff Sergeant Mitchell gave her the green light, Sarah took her shot. The bullet traveled the distance in less than a second, striking the target precisely as intended. The courtyard erupted in chaos as the remaining individuals sought cover and security personnel began searching for the source of the shot. Sarah quickly shifted to her secondary target, another high-value individual who was attempting to reach the safety of the main building. The second shot was equally precise, eliminating another key enemy leader. The remaining individuals in the courtyard scattered, some taking cover while others fled into the buildings. The team's extraction began immediately after Sarah's second shot. They had accomplished their mission, but now they needed to reach their extraction point before enemy forces could organize a response. Sarah gathered her equipment and began moving with the team toward their planned route. The extraction movement was more challenging than the insertion. Enemy forces were now actively searching for them, and Sarah's team had to move quickly while maintaining security. Sarah alternated between moving with the team and providing rear security, watching for signs of pursuit. About halfway to the extraction point, they encountered an enemy patrol that was obviously searching for them. The patrol consisted of approximately 8 insurgents moving along the same route Sarah's team needed to use. Staff Sergeant Mitchell made the decision to eliminate the patrol rather than attempt to avoid them and risk being discovered. Sarah positioned herself to provide overwatch while the rest of the team maneuvered into position. Through her scope, she could see that the enemy patrol was well armed and moving with tactical discipline. These were not amateur fighters, but experienced insurgents who knew the terrain and understood military tactics. The engagement began when one of the enemy fighters spotted movement from Sarah's teammates. The insurgent raised his weapon to fire, but Sarah's shot reached him first. Her bullet struck him center mass, dropping him immediately and alerting his companions to the presence of American forces. What followed was a brief but intense firefight. Sarah provided precision fire support while her teammates maneuvered to eliminate the remaining threats. Her role was to identify and engage targets that posed the greatest danger to her teammates while avoiding shots that might endanger friendly forces. During the firefight, Sarah identified an enemy fighter who had positioned himself behind cover where he could engage her teammates with a machine gun. The target was partially concealed, requiring a precise shot to neutralize him without hitting the cover that was protecting him. Sarah waited for the optimal moment when the fighter exposed himself to fire, then took her shot. The enemy machine gunner was eliminated before he could effectively engage her team. The entire engagement lasted less than 5 minutes. When it was over, all enemy fighters had been eliminated with no casualties among Sarah's team. They quickly searched the area for intelligence materials and continued their movement toward the extraction point. The helicopter extraction went smoothly, and Sarah's team returned to base with valuable intelligence and confirmation that their primary mission had been accomplished. The after-action review praised Sarah's precision shooting and tactical awareness during both the initial target engagement and the subsequent firefight. Word of Sarah's performance quickly spread throughout the forward operating base. Her ability to make precise shots under pressure and her tactical intelligence made her a valuable asset for future operations. But more importantly, she had proven herself to her teammates under actual combat conditions. Over the following months, Sarah participated in dozens of operations throughout eastern Afghanistan. Each mission presented unique challenges and required different tactical approaches. Sarah's skills continued to develop as she gained experience in various types of combat operations. One particularly challenging mission involved providing support for a joint operation with Navy SEAL teams. The SEALs were conducting a raid on a compound suspected of housing foreign fighter trainers, and Sarah's team was tasked with providing external security and overwatch during the operation. The compound was located in a heavily populated area, making the mission particularly complex. Civilian considerations were paramount, and any engagement had to be precisely planned to avoid unintended casualties. Sarah's role was to provide precision fire support if the SEAL team encountered resistance while ensuring that civilian areas were not endangered. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, the SEAL team leader, briefed Sarah personally on the mission requirements. He was initially surprised to learn that the sniper support would be provided by a female soldier, but his concerns disappeared when he reviewed Sarah's service record and combat experience. "Martinez, this is a particularly sensitive mission," Jackson explained. "We need to move fast and clean, with minimal signature. If we need your support, it will be for precision elimination of specific threats. Can you deliver that?" Sarah looked him directly in the eye and responded with confidence. "Yes, sir. I can deliver whatever you need." The mission began before dawn, with Sarah's team moving into position on high ground overlooking the target compound. Sarah established her sniper position approximately 400 meters from the compound, with clear fields of fire covering the primary escape routes and defensive positions. As the SEAL team approached the compound, Sarah provided real-time intelligence about enemy positions and movements. Through her scope, she could see guards posted at various locations around the compound perimeter. She also noted that several buildings in the compound showed signs of recent activity. The SEAL team's assault began with precision breaching of the compound walls. Sarah watched as the highly trained operators moved with speed and efficiency toward their objectives. Her role was to provide immediate fire support if the team encountered resistance that threatened mission success. The situation developed quickly when the SEAL team encountered armed resistance from within the compound. Several enemy fighters had barricaded themselves in a building and were attempting to engage the SEAL operators with automatic weapons. The position of these fighters made them difficult for the assault team to neutralize without exposing themselves to significant risk. Lieutenant Commander Jackson's voice came over the radio. "Overwatch, we have enemy fighters in the northeast building, second floor. They have good cover and clear fields of fire on our position. Can you engage?" Sarah quickly assessed the situation through her scope. She could see muzzle flashes from the second-floor windows where enemy fighters were positioned. The building was constructed of heavy stone and concrete, providing excellent protection for the defenders. However, Sarah identified a window position where she had a clear shot at one of the fighters. "Overwatch has visual on enemy position. I can engage one target, but others are behind solid cover," Sarah reported. "Take the shot when ready," Jackson replied. Sarah settled into her shooting position and focused on the target. The range was 394 meters with minimal wind. The target was partially exposed as he attempted to engage the SEAL team below. Sarah waited for the optimal moment when the fighter positioned himself for a shot at the SEALs. When the opportunity came, Sarah took her shot. The bullet struck the enemy fighter precisely, immediately eliminating the threat. The other fighters in the building quickly moved to different positions, but their aggressive fire was disrupted enough for the SEAL team to maneuver to better positions. The engagement continued for several more minutes, with the SEAL team systematically clearing the compound while Sarah provided overwatch and intelligence. Her detailed observations helped the assault team identify enemy positions and plan their tactical movements. When the operation was complete, the SEAL team had successfully captured several high-value targets and collected valuable intelligence materials. No American casualties had been sustained, and civilian casualties had been avoided entirely. The mission was considered a complete success. During the after-action briefing, Lieutenant Commander Jackson specifically praised Sarah's contribution to the mission's success. Martinez's precision fire support and real-time intelligence were crucial factors in our success today. Her shot eliminated a threat that could have seriously complicated our mission. This praise from a SEAL team leader carried significant weight throughout the special operations community. SEALs were known for their high standards and demanding operational requirements. Receiving recognition from Jackson meant that Sarah had proven herself at the highest levels of military operations. As Sarah's deployment continued, she participated in increasingly complex operations. Her reputation for precision shooting and tactical intelligence made her a requested asset for sensitive missions throughout the region. She worked with various units, including Rangers, Special Forces, and additional SEAL teams. Each operation added to Sarah's experience and skills. She learned to adapt her techniques to different environments and mission requirements. Mountain operations required different considerations than desert missions. Urban environments presented unique challenges compared to rural areas. Sarah became proficient in all types of terrain and operational conditions. One mission that particularly challenged Sarah involved providing support for a hostage rescue operation. Intelligence indicated that American contractors had been captured by insurgents and were being held at a remote compound. The rescue operation required precise timing and absolute accuracy to ensure the safety of the hostages. Sarah's team was positioned to provide external security, while a specialized rescue team conducted the actual assault. Her specific role was to eliminate any guards who might threaten the hostages during the rescue operation. This meant she needed to be prepared for multiple precision shots in rapid succession while ensuring that her fire did not endanger the rescue team or the hostages themselves. The compound was heavily guarded, with sentries posted at multiple positions around the perimeter. Sarah identified 6 guard positions that could potentially threaten the rescue operation. Some guards were stationary, while others patrolled regular routes around the compound. When the rescue operation began, Sarah had to make split-second decisions about target engagement. The first guard she eliminated was positioned where he could sound an alarm that would alert the entire compound. Sarah's shot neutralized him before he could raise the alarm, allowing the rescue team to approach undetected. As the rescue progressed, Sarah eliminated additional threats as they presented themselves. Each shot required careful consideration to ensure that hostages and rescue personnel remained safe. The precision required was extraordinary, even by sniper standards. The hostage rescue was successful, with all American personnel recovered safely and no casualties among the rescue team. Sarah's contribution was specifically mentioned in the mission report, noting that her precision fire support had been essential to the operation's success. By the end of her deployment, Sarah had participated in over 50 combat operations and had established herself as one of the most capable snipers in the theater of operations. Her combat record included confirmed engagements at ranges exceeding 800 meters, multiple successful support missions for special operations units, and 0 incidents of unintended casualties. Staff Sergeant Mitchell, who had initially been skeptical about having a female sniper on his team, became one of Sarah's strongest advocates. "Martinez is the best sniper I've ever worked with," he told his superiors. "She's precise, reliable, and absolutely fearless under fire. Any unit would be lucky to have her." As Sarah prepared to return to the United States, she reflected on the experiences that had shaped her during the deployment. She had proven herself in the ultimate test of combat operations and had earned the respect of some of the military's most elite units. But she also understood that her journey was far from over. The knowledge and skills she had gained in Afghanistan would serve as the foundation for even greater challenges ahead. Sarah had demonstrated that she could perform at the highest levels of military operations, but she was always looking for ways to improve her capabilities and contribute to mission success. The flight home gave Sarah time to process everything she had experienced during her deployment. She had arrived in Afghanistan as a talented but untested sniper. She was returning as a combat veteran with an exceptional record of performance under the most demanding conditions. But perhaps most importantly, Sarah had earned something that no amount of training could provide: the absolute trust and confidence of her teammates and the special operations community. That trust would open doors to opportunities that few soldiers ever experienced, including the chance to work with the most elite units in the American military. Sarah's return to the United States marked the beginning of a new chapter in her military career. Her exceptional performance in Afghanistan had earned her recognition throughout the special operations community, and opportunities began to present themselves that few soldiers ever experienced. The quiet confidence she had developed through combat operations was evident to everyone who worked with her. Fort Bragg, North Carolina, became Sarah's new assignment, where she was selected for advanced sniper training with the special operations community. The program was designed to create sniper instructors and develop new techniques for special operations missions. Only the most experienced and capable snipers were invited to participate. The advanced training pushed Sarah's skills to new levels. She learned cutting-edge techniques in urban sniper operations, counter-sniper tactics, and advanced camouflage and concealment methods. The curriculum included working with the latest technology in optics and ballistic calculation systems, but the emphasis remained on fundamental skills and tactical intelligence. Master Chief Petty Officer David Thompson ran the Advanced Sniper program. A Navy SEAL with over 20 years of experience, Thompson had worked with snipers from every branch of the military and had very high standards. He had reviewed Sarah's combat record from Afghanistan and was curious to see if her performance matched the exceptional reports he had received. "Martinez, I've heard impressive things about your work overseas," Thompson told her during their first meeting. "But this program is different from anything you've experienced. We're going to push you beyond what you think your limits are." The training was indeed more challenging than anything Sarah had previously encountered. Students were required to demonstrate proficiency at extreme ranges, often exceeding 1,000 meters. They practiced in all weather conditions, from driving rain to extreme heat. The scenarios were designed to replicate the most demanding situations that snipers might encounter in real-world operations. One exercise particularly tested Sarah's abilities. Students were required to engage multiple targets at varying ranges while under simulated enemy fire. The scenario required rapid target acquisition, precise shot placement, and immediate movement to avoid counterattack. Sarah's performance during this exercise was exceptional, demonstrating both her technical skills and her ability to remain calm under extreme pressure. Master Chief Thompson observed Sarah's performance throughout the training program. He was particularly impressed with her ability to adapt to new situations and her natural teaching ability when working with other students. Sarah had developed an intuitive understanding of sniper tactics that allowed her to solve complex problems quickly and effectively. "Martinez has something special," Thompson told his fellow instructors. "She combines technical excellence with tactical intelligence in a way that's rare even among experienced snipers. She's going to make a significant contribution to whatever unit gets her next." Sarah's exceptional performance in the advanced training program led to her selection for a highly classified assignment. She would be attached to a SEAL team for a series of sensitive operations that required the absolute highest level of sniper support. The mission details were classified at the highest levels, but Sarah understood that she would be working with some of the most elite operators in the American military. Team 7 was led by Lieutenant Commander Marcus Williams, a SEAL officer with extensive combat experience and a reputation for successfully completing the most challenging missions. Williams had specifically requested a sniper with Sarah's qualifications after reviewing her service record and combat performance evaluations. The team's first mission briefing revealed the complexity of their assignment. They would be conducting operations against a terrorist network that had established training facilities in a remote mountainous region. The terrain was extremely challenging, and intelligence indicated that the enemy was well-trained and heavily armed. Success would require perfect coordination between all team members. Sarah's role in the operation was multifaceted. She would provide precision fire support, conduct intelligence gathering through long-range observation, and serve as the team's primary counter-sniper asset. The mission parameters required capabilities that pushed sniper operations to their absolute limits. Lieutenant Commander Williams spent considerable time working with Sarah to understand her capabilities and limitations. He had worked with many snipers throughout his career, but Sarah's combination of technical skills and tactical awareness was impressive even by SEAL standards. "Martinez, this mission is going to require everything you've learned and probably some things you haven't," Williams explained during one of their planning sessions. "We need someone who can make impossible shots under impossible conditions. From everything I've seen, you're that person." The mission began with insertion via helicopter in extremely challenging terrain. The landing zone was at high altitude in mountainous terrain with unpredictable weather conditions. Sarah's equipment load was substantial, including her rifle, ammunition, observation equipment, and her share of the team's survival gear. The team's objective was located approximately 15 miles from the insertion point, requiring movement through terrain that was both physically demanding and tactically challenging. Enemy forces were known to operate throughout the area, and the team had to remain undetected while moving to their objective. Sarah's skills in fieldcraft and navigation proved invaluable during the approach movement. She identified routes that provided concealment while avoiding areas where enemy forces were likely to be positioned. Her ability to read terrain features and understand their tactical implications helped the team move efficiently while maintaining security. The target was a terrorist training compound located in a remote valley surrounded by steep, mountainous terrain. Intelligence indicated that the facility was used to train foreign fighters who would later conduct attacks against coalition forces and civilian targets. The compound included multiple buildings, training areas, and defensive positions. Sarah's sniper position was established on high ground overlooking the compound at a range of approximately 850 meters. From this position, she could observe the entire facility while remaining concealed from enemy observation. The position required her to remain motionless for extended periods while providing intelligence and security for the SEAL team. Through her scope, Sarah documented detailed intelligence about the compound's layout, security procedures, and personnel. She identified guard positions, patrol routes, and areas where high-value targets might be located. Her observations provided the team with crucial information for planning their assault. The situation became critical when intelligence sources indicated that a high-priority terrorist leader had arrived at the compound for a meeting with trainees. This individual was responsible for planning multiple attacks that had killed numerous civilian and military personnel. His capture or elimination was considered a top priority for counterterrorism operations. Lieutenant Commander Williams made the decision to modify their mission to target this high-value individual. Sarah's role became even more critical, as she would need to provide precision fire support while the SEAL team conducted their assault. The margin for error was essentially zero, as any mistake could result in the escape of the target or casualties among the assault team. The compound's security was formidable, with multiple guard positions and overlapping fields of fire that made direct assault extremely dangerous. Sarah identified several enemy positions that posed significant threats to the assault team, including a sniper position in a tower overlooking the main approach route. As the assault began, Sarah's first priority was neutralizing the enemy sniper who could devastate the SEAL team during their approach. The target was at extreme range, approximately 920 meters, in a position that provided only limited exposure. Sarah had to wait for the optimal moment when the enemy sniper exposed himself enough for a clear shot. When the opportunity presented itself, Sarah took the shot. The bullet traveled nearly a full second before striking the target, eliminating the threat just as the enemy sniper was preparing to engage the advancing SEAL team. The precision of the shot under such challenging conditions was extraordinary, even by elite standards. The assault continued with Sarah providing overwatch and eliminating additional threats as they presented themselves. Her ability to identify and engage targets quickly while avoiding friendly fire was crucial to the mission's success. Each shot required split-second decision-making and absolute precision. During the height of the assault, a situation developed that would define Sarah's reputation for years to come. Lieutenant Commander Williams and 2 other SEALs had entered the main building where the high-value target was located, but they encountered heavier resistance than expected. Enemy fighters had barricaded themselves in defensive positions that made direct assault extremely dangerous. Even worse, intelligence indicated that the building contained civilians who were being held against their will. Any assault that resulted in civilian casualties would be considered a mission failure, regardless of whether the primary target was captured or eliminated. Williams found himself in an impossible tactical situation. Sarah observed the situation developing through her scope and realized that conventional sniper support would not be sufficient. The enemy positions were too well protected, and the risk to civilians was too high for traditional engagement techniques. She needed to find a solution that would neutralize the threats while ensuring civilian safety. After careful observation, Sarah identified a narrow window of opportunity. One of the enemy fighters was positioned where she could potentially engage him without endangering civilians or friendly forces. But the shot would require extraordinary precision. The target was partially concealed at extreme range, and any error could result in unintended casualties. Williams's voice came over the radio. "Overwatch, we need immediate support. We have multiple enemy positions, unknown number of civilians, and we're taking effective fire. Do you have any solutions?" Sarah studied the situation for several more seconds, calculating angles, distances, and potential risks. Finally, she responded, "I have a possible solution, but it's going to require a shot that's at the absolute edge of what's possible. I can engage one target, but I need you to trust me completely." "Take the shot, Martinez. We trust you," Williams replied without hesitation. Sarah's shot required her to thread the needle between friendly forces and civilians while engaging a target that was barely visible through a narrow opening. The range was 891 meters, with a slight crosswind and challenging light conditions. Everything had to be perfect. When Sarah took the shot, the bullet struck exactly where she had aimed, eliminating the primary threat without endangering anyone else in the building. The precision of the shot stunned even the experienced SEAL operators who witnessed it. Williams later described it as the most incredible display of sniper skill he had ever seen. With the primary threat eliminated, the SEAL team was able to complete their assault successfully. The high-value target was captured alive, valuable intelligence materials were recovered, and all civilians were rescued safely. No American casualties were sustained during the operation. During the mission debrief, Williams made it clear that Sarah's contribution had been the decisive factor in the mission's success. "Martinez made a shot that saved multiple lives today," he reported to his superiors. "Without her precision and judgment, this mission would have ended very differently." Word of Sarah's exceptional performance spread quickly throughout the special operations community. The shot she had made under such demanding conditions was discussed in training courses and used as an example of sniper excellence. Her ability to remain calm under extreme pressure and deliver precision fire support when lives were on the line had established her reputation at the highest levels. Several weeks later, Sarah received an unexpected summons to report to Lieutenant Commander Williams's office. When she arrived, she found not only Williams, but also his commanding officer and several other senior SEAL personnel. The formal atmosphere suggested that something significant was about to happen. Williams stood as Sarah entered the room. "Martinez, I asked you here today because I want to personally thank you for your service with our team. Your performance during our recent operations has been extraordinary, and I want to ensure that your contributions are properly recognized." What happened next surprised Sarah completely. Williams produced a Navy SEAL Trident pin, the symbol that represented membership in one of the military's most elite communities. "Martinez, you may not be a Navy SEAL, but you've earned the respect and admiration of every SEAL who has worked with you. I want you to have this as a token of that respect." The presentation of a SEAL Trident to a non-SEAL was virtually unprecedented. The gesture represented the highest possible honor that the SEAL community could bestow on an individual from another service branch. Sarah was stunned by the significance of the moment. "Sir, I don't know what to say," Sarah responded, accepting the Trident pin with obvious emotion. "It's been an honor to work with your team, and I've learned more from you than I ever thought possible." William smiled and shook Sarah's hand firmly. "Martinez, you've proven that excellence has no boundaries. Your skill, courage, and professionalism represent the best of what the military can produce. Any SEAL would be proud to serve alongside you." The ceremony was small and informal, but its significance resonated throughout the special operations community. Sarah had achieved something that few soldiers ever experienced: formal recognition from an elite unit that set the highest standards for military excellence. News of the honor eventually reached Sarah's family in Texas. Her father, Miguel Martinez, was overwhelmed with pride when he learned that his daughter had been recognized by Navy SEALs for her exceptional service. The quiet girl who had spent afternoons at the shooting range had become one of the military's most respected snipers. Sarah's recognition by the SEAL community opened additional opportunities for advanced training and specialized assignments. She was invited to participate in instructor programs, joint training exercises with allied nations, and development of new sniper tactics and techniques. Her experience and expertise made her a valuable asset for improving sniper training throughout the military. But perhaps most importantly, Sarah's story became an inspiration for other women considering military careers in combat specialties. She had proven that determination, skill, and dedication could overcome any barrier and earn recognition at the highest levels of military excellence. Years later, when Sarah reflected on her career and the recognition she had received, she understood that the honor represented more than just her individual achievements. It represented the military's evolving understanding that excellence could come from anyone who possessed the dedication and skill necessary to meet the highest standards. The SEAL Trident that Lieutenant Commander Williams had given her remained one of her most treasured possessions. It represented not just recognition of her technical abilities, but acknowledgement that she had earned the trust and respect of warriors who demanded nothing less than perfection from themselves and their teammates. Sarah's journey from a small-town girl with an unusual hobby to a sniper honored by Navy SEALs demonstrated that exceptional achievement was possible for anyone willing to pursue excellence without compromise. Her story continued to inspire new generations of soldiers who understood that the military's most demanding challenges required the best that America could offer, regardless of who those individuals might be. The recognition she received was not about titles or formal positions, but about earning the respect of peers who understood what excellence looked like. Sarah Martinez had achieved that respect through years of dedicated service, continuous improvement, and unwavering commitment to mission success. In the end, the quiet sniper who had never sought recognition or headlines had earned something far more valuable: the knowledge that she had made a difference when it mattered most and had earned her place among the military's most respected professionals. The SEAL leader's honor was simply recognition of what Sarah had already proven through her actions and dedication to service.